Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Foster Talks. Today I have somebody who is known as a writing coach, the queen of thrillers, a lot of things, is Kanchana Banerjee, the author, with me on Foster Talks today. Welcome ma'am to Foster Talks.
Thank you so much, Naghma.
Thank you so
Thanks
much
for having me here.
Definitely. How are you feeling? How excited are you to be in Foster Talks?
I'm very excited. It's always wonderful to be able to talk about your writing journey, my books. As I say, if writing is my first love, talking about my books and writing comes a close second.
Oh, definitely. How has your journey been as a writer? How rewarding has it been for you throughout your life?
It has been enormously gratifying, enormously soul satisfying.
Mm-hmm.
While I have to admit that it hasn't brought monetary returns,
Okay.
but then I did not start writing for money.
True.
I was writing for money much before I began writing fiction, which was when I was writing for publications and for companies, and I did that for 18 years.
Yeah.
And I was done. I was done writing brand promotional articles and writing articles on sales conferences about toothpastes and stuff like that. I had done that for so long. So it was a conscious decision to stop doing that and to pursue my passion for fiction and my love for stories. And that was 10 years ago, 2014, when I started writing. The journey has been very humbling, Naghma. It has been, I've made wonderful friends. I have had complete strangers write to me, gushing over my book, and often, in tears telling me that they associated and they kind of empathize with certain characters, especially A Forgotten Affair.
I was about to actually tell that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I've had a lot of women with difficult marriages, difficult personal life reaching out to me. So it feels very very surreal when you realize that the words that you have written, they have resonated so much with someone who you don't know, and they have hunted you down on social media and written to you. So I keep telling my friends, and my friends feel very angry when I say this, that I feel that when my friends praise my books, they're just doing it out of kindness because they love me. But when a complete stranger writes to me, I said, okay,
that's genuine.
Yeah.
That's a genuine reader comment.
Yeah. True.
No, that is true, because we always keep telling you can never trust the feedback from your parents or best friends to an extent, yes, because they tell things straight on your face, but never from your parents, because they always want to tell good about you.
Exactly.
They'll never tell bad about you. It's similar. When you're getting feedback, you'd rather get it from a stranger. If it's good or bad, they'll definitely tell it to you directly on the face, because they have nothing to lose.
Absolutely.
That's been great. So how has this transition been like for you? Because your career as a writer, as a journalist, working with publications, working on blogs, articles, that was pretty long a while, which I'm sure you started because your background also was from English literature and all of that, which was an amazing good career for you. But then transitioning that to becoming an author, a full-time author for that matter, how was the transition, and how did that transition affect you personally?
So, I was itching to write fiction.
Okay.
All the while when I was in Bombay writing for Hindustan Lever, UNICEF, etc., many other companies, and so I used to keep telling my husband that when will I be able to write a book? And and I used to go to Crossword to buy books, and my son, I used to leave him at tuition classes and sit in Crossword, and I used to look at that huge shelf of Indian authors, and I used to dream, and I used to keep telling my husband that I'm dying to write fiction, but I don't have a story in my head.
Okay.
And it was really weird because I considered myself like a wordsmith, because I was writing for 7-8 publications across the country. I was writing content for various companies, and yet I had no story in my mind. But I really believe that destiny has a plan set for you, and things happen when they are meant to happen, not before that.
Okay.
And it was and I moved from Bombay to Gurgaon at the end of 2013.
Okay.
And you won't believe, I resisted the move like never before, and my husband was so surprised that we've moved cities, we've moved countries, and you've always been okay. What is this thing about not wanting to leave Bombay and come to Gurgaon? Why are you putting up such a fight? Okay. So I told him that my freelance writing career is so settled here, and I have so many because freelance writing depends on contacts.
Yeah.
So, I have my contacts, I have my clients, and you're asking me to leave all that. And, I've spent so many years,
building that up.
decade and a couple of years building that up, and I have to leave all that and go to Gurgaon where I don't know anyone. But willy-nilly I came. And, and then I told myself that, okay, Gurgaon is a huge corporate hub.
Yes.
So I will spread my tentacles like an octopus, and I will get clients and stuff like that. So, and, there was a community called Biz Divas. Sarika
I know that community.
So, I had been following them, and they were very active in Gurgaon.
Okay.
So, I was very happy that at least this one working community, women's community that I know. So, they were having a breakfast meet at this club opposite Galleria where we are sitting today. So I said, fine, I'm going to go there and I'm going to meet some clients and I'm going to meet some corporates. And lo and behold, I meet a woman called Kanchana Banerjee who has nothing to do with corporate work or anything. She told me that, Kanchana, I have this little house in the hills where someday I want to do writing workshops. So I said, Achha, I would love to do a writing workshop. I have done writing courses with London School of Journalism, online courses and all. She said, Achha. She said, and we had never met before. That was our first meeting. And we didn't know each other from Adam. And she said, Kanchana, do you want to start writing workshops in Gurgaon?
Wow.
I said, yeah, let's do it. And, in 3 weeks' time, we had our first workshop in Tikli Bottom in Gurgaon. So to cut a very long story short, I started conducting these workshops and I got so engrossed in them that my corporate writing went out of the window. And I started,
for the good.
And, and as I started hosting these workshops along with Kiran Chaturvedi, I started writing my first book. In the month of February 2014, I began writing A Forgotten Affair, which at that time was titled, the working title was The Accident. I used to call it The Accident. That was 2014. In the month of October 2014, I went to Bangalore and I pitched my book in Litmart and I got HarperCollins. And 2016, in the month of end of August, early September, my first
book is published.
Yeah, so, when I look back, I think, destiny had prepared Gurgaon and the stage. And it was just waiting for me to turn up. And I was thinking that I came screaming and kicking,
I'm sure your husband would have told that I told you so.
Yes, exactly. Oh my God, he doesn't let go of that opportunity.
You're meant to move.
So the thing is, So the takeaway from this is that change is good. Change acha hai, So we don't get to understand it, but it opens up your horizons. It gives you newer opportunities. You meet interesting people, and things happen. And as they say, life happens when you're busy making other plans.
Yeah, very true. No, this is brilliant. This is amazing. So that was a crazy transition for that matter. Are you a believer of manifestation? Just asking out of it.
I never was. But, now when I think back, I think I did manifest because I was constantly in my mind, when will I get published? When will I get published? When will I start writing? So I think I must have. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. So I don't know if I'm giving out any spoilers or anything, but this is nothing about the latest book. So if I come back to Forgotten Affair, again in the story, you have the girl. She's moving from Mumbai, she's forced to move from Mumbai to Gurgaon. Is this book based on the transition, what she's seeing around? Is this your personal experience that you were trying to
So it is my personal experience, but second-hand experience. So the book is about a very, very serious relationship issue of domestic abuse of emotional nature. And unfortunately, I have been, witness to this happening to some of my very close friends, some people in my family. And I've been wanting to write about this emotional abuse, this very... a very hush-hush thing that happens in so-called educated and opulent families where the husband is very educated, the wife is very educated, but at every step of the way he minimizes her. So I wanted to write about that, and of course, the first book has a lot of things out of your own experience, out of your own life. Many of my friends feature in the book, and many of my friends don't feature in the book, which I hear no end of because they keep saying, "Oh, we don't mean anything to you. You wrote your first book, and we are not in it." So yes, a large part of it is my life, my experiences, and people that I have met with.
Interesting.
And some people I hate, like.
Are they turning into the villains?
Yes, absolutely. Like Rishabh's character is kind of based on my cousin sister's ex-husband, who I just can't stand the sight of.
Wow.
So yeah, I wanted to use his name, but she begged me. She said, "Can you please not do this?" You know.
Okay,
Yeah,
interesting. But how do you pick up the thing? Because you've been a thriller writer. Even your books, like even for the books that you already have written, they're very heavy on emotions. They've been emotional, but at the same time, they also have a thriller touch somewhere. There's something mysterious going on. There's some plotting going on. There is something, not exactly a crime or may not be a crime, but something is always going in the background. Why do you love that genre so much? Is it something that you would really want to stick on to?
Yes,
where did that interest come from?
So the thing is, Naghma, my first book is not, as I said, it's a very serious relationship drama.
Yeah.
And after the book was out and the book did quite well, so my editor at HarperCollins was Arpopol Chaudhary, a very nice guy who again I didn't know from Adam and became a very close friend. So after the book was out for a couple of months, he said to Kanchana, I think you should tap the thriller writer in you.
Yeah.
Because, even with a very serious relationship theme, you have managed to make it an edge of the seat and nail-biting, and it has these thriller moments.
You had your goosebumps. I definitely had my goosebumps.
When she's in the basement and, she's like, etc. So he said that why don't you tap into the thriller writer in you, and that's when I changed course. I mean, so Nobody's Child, I Own You, Until I Find You, out and out crime. So I'm very intrigued by Criminal Mind as to what goes on in the mind of a man or a woman who is about to commit something wrong. Do they have a moral compass or don't they have a moral compass? Like, in Nobody's Child, the main villain is Kamini Pratap Singh. In Until I Find You, it is Manjeet / Vikram. So do they have a moral compass? Do they ever stop and think, oh my God, what did I do? Or so, I find that and I also like to tease my readers with red herrings and with false evidences and lead them up the wrong way. And I love to, kind of deliver a blow of an ending. So my friends have told me that Until I Find You, the ending is, oh my God, what have you done? Where did this come from? I said, that's so. And then also another thing, Naghma, is that I have, as I said, I have done the writing course with London School of Journalism, with Curtis Brown of Bombay, and I spend a lot of time reading, writing help books and etc. On how to write better, how to craft compelling characters and stuff like that, how to inject tension in the story and etc. So all of them say that that there are certain ingredients for a good thriller. That at the 3/4 mark of the thriller, something horrible should happen. Something absolutely, and it does happen.
Okay. I was just trying to recollect that only.
With that character. So something earth-shattering should happen, which should rock the reader and feel, oh my God, this is like nothing worse than this can happen. And secondly, is that the ending of a thriller should be like a bomb blast. I mean, they should not see it coming.
Okay.
So I try to do that.
You did.
So in I On You, when Myra stumbles on, at the risk of, I'm not going to give out any spoilers, when she discovers a particular thing in the apartment and she realizes, oh my God, what is this? How is this here? So, so a lot of thought, a lot of thinking, a lot of plotting goes into it.
So when I read your books itself, I mean, this is even before I went through your profile or anything, when I read through your book itself, a lot of those things that you were trying to say, because sometimes when you're reading a thriller, for that matter, your mind is a lot on that thriller part. You're expecting something is going to happen, something is going to happen. You're continuously waiting for that. But with your books, I've always felt it's a lot emotional. You're inside the story, you're crying at some times, you're laughing at some times, you're so emotionally overwhelmed at some times, and then something is happening. So it's not just a thriller, it's also emotional. So I was very curious, because building these characters, I actually went back, then I started exploring a little bit about your profile to actually go back and say that you have a psychology degree. Because I was very curious, how are you going into a person's mind so much that you're writing about it? So, do you have a background, something related to psychology, or is it the writing style, or like how was it that really coming out? The part you said, how do you create these characters?
So no, I don't have a background in psychology, but I've always been interested in psychology. I mean, as just a a commoner. So to answer your question, Naghma, is that you creating compelling characters, it requires a lot of thought, a lot of planning, a lot of observation, and a lot of empathy. I don't have to go through a traumatic incident, but I need to be empathetic enough to be able to understand and imagine what the person could have gone through. And and again, you have to be a people watcher. You have to observe people in their rawest moments. So when I'm sitting in an airport, traveling alone, or even when I'm at a party, I observe people and I observe couple dynamics, how their unspoken actions, body language, etc., how they communicate. And this has become a part of who I am. So I observe these things and then I think. So a lot of writing is thinking. I mean, we're just sitting and gazing at the bright blue sky or the cloudy grey sky of Gurgaon, and just thinking as to what to do and how to make the story different, how to make the character interesting. It all basically boils down to writing a story in an interesting manner to grip and grasp the attention of the reader.
Wow. Okay. So, how much, like when you are writing your book, in your journey of getting that book out there, how much time, like if I have to put it into percentages, if you have to literally slice it out, how much of your time goes into building the character? How much of it goes into building the story? Or how much of it goes into doing any connection stories, building up a background? Like how does that entire plotting work out for you?
So it is not different. It's not different time baskets. It's all. So I take about 9 to 10 months, close to a year to write, to come out with the first draft. This is from concept to writing.
But the final draft, you're thinking?
The final. No, not the first draft. After the first draft, then I polish it. So it takes me about 1.5 to 2 years to come up with a final version, which I think is worthy to be sent to anyone. So I don't write things very fast. I take a lot of time. And and the character building. So I start with a pretty detailed character sketch of the protagonist and of the principal characters, of the major plot points, of the major scenes, and these scenes basically come to you in a flash, and then you work them out. And then and then you kind of work at it, and sometimes you change. Like I'll give you an example. So it kind of happened. It has happened with all my books that I've made a list of characters who will be there in the book, and when I've started writing, a very minor character has suddenly becomes a little more important. Not a primary character, but from a tertiary and a fourth grade character becomes a secondary character and plays quite an important role. It has always happened in all my books.
It has. Just as an example, I don't want to give out spoiler, but I think what you're trying to say is somebody like Veena in the Forgotten Affair. When she helps out whoever that person is.
And then and then in Until I Find You, it is Ramji. Ramji was initially a tertiary character, but then Ramji he kind of assumes a lot of importance. Then even Tipu is just a tea stall guy.
Just another
and the character of Tipu was created to kind of build the character of Harsh and portray Harsh, because I wanted a small world of Harsh, of a young boy and his friends in the village. So and then as it went on and on and on, and he just kind of, that is when the story begins to write itself. And it is now happening with my fifth book, that there are these two characters. One is the house manager called Subodh, of a very, very rich family, and there's a woman called Sarah, who is the personal assistant of the female very important character.
Okay.
And I can feel it in my bones that these two are going to grow.
Whoa,
And I don't know how. And
That's
I
really
will come to,
nice.
I have the entire trajectory for the central character.
Yeah.
For this woman who's the kingpin or the queen bee. I have the trajectory for that. I have the trajectory for a few others. But I can feel it in my bones that Subodh and Sarah are going to become important because there's something, I don't know.
Yeah.
So, so the entire process of writing is, I would say 70% detailed, I'm talking about myself, detailed planning, and 30% is surprise. It just
never thought of it that way.
It just kind of, the story decides, Ruko,
Yeah.
I'm going to take over now from here.
Okay.
And when that happens, it's a beautiful feeling,
I can see it literally in your eyes right now.
It's a beautiful feeling, and that feeling for me comes when I'm at 35,000 mark.
Interesting. So that's really interesting. So do you say that this is one of the best way to go about in writing, or is this one of the ways? Like, because I'm not a writer, I'm an avid reader. So for me, if an author changes the way he's writing something, I'll pick it because I've been an avid reader. So I can pick that out, but I'm not a writer at all. So when you're looking at it, writing in certain ways, every single pieces that you told right now, I could connect it immediately either with your books or some of the good books that I've read, right? So are there multiple styles like these that people pick up, or is there like a one best proven way to go? How does it work?
There is no one recipe. There is no right or wrong way of writing.
Okay.
There is only the right way, as in W-R-I-T.
For that person? Okay.
Just the right way, W-R-I-T. So there is no right or wrong.
Okay.
It's all about finishing the book and finishing the book to the best possible way that the author envisages or thinks, and ultimately creating a book which the reader enjoys reading.
Very true.
So there is no secret sauce. There is no secret recipe which works for everyone. What works for me may not work for you.
Somebody else. That's true as well. So you've been a writing coach for a very good long while, right? What was that one common doubt, blocker, a bottleneck that writers generally face, the most common that writers has faced, and what could be a solution for it?
I think one of the biggest problems which I have seen writers or my students, or basically I'm talking about my students, face is that they overtell. Don't tell all. Of course, show don't tell is a very important.
That's a common concept.
But they over explain. You don't over explain and overexpose.
Okay.
A story is best told as if you're peeling off an onion. Slowly you're peeling off the layers.
Okay.
So don't tell all immediately. Just slowly reveal the characters.
Is this because you're giving space to the reader to think, or is it more a writing thing?
See, because if you tell everything in the first chapter, what are you going to write in the next 15 chapters?
Okay. So you're slowly building the character's profile, not just initially when you're introducing the person, but throughout the book.
Throughout the book.
Interesting. That felt like a relationship because you get to know about the people that you're working with, your friends, your
slowly,
partner.
They unravel themselves slowly.
Interesting. Okay, these are concepts even I never thought of. Okay, great. This is amazing. So, while you're writing, so in your journey right now, you're an author, you're trying to write your book. At the same time, you're a coach where you're trying to help out a lot of writers. And I feel these two requires two different energies, two different skill sets, two different things, time, energy, everything put together, complete different things. How are you managing both of these? Is it like kind of intervening into each other? Does this...
No, not really. See, the thing is, Naghma, I am at a stage in my life when I have a lot of time.
Okay.
In the sense, I don't have a small child. I have a grown-up son. He's 25 years old. He's studying. He was working with Zomato till recently. He's taken a break from that to prepare for his future further studies. So I have a lot of time on my hand. it's not that I'm starved for time and stuff. So I can easily divide my day into two large chunks. And another thing is that I have been a freelance writer for a very long time, and I have worked for multiple clients, different clients, for a very long time. I stopped doing that in 2014 when I decided that I'm not going to do corporate writing anymore. But there was a time when I was writing for many newspapers and magazines, and I was doing some work for companies. So, and I have always been very good at dividing the day into blocks of working hours, where I do one thing, and then I do that for the next 2.5 hours, and then I take a break and do something else. So like the morning hours, I'm a very morning person. I'm at my creative best in the morning. So my morning hours are for my own writing. Then I take a break for my lunch, and then post lunch I take a look at my students' works and stuff like that. Then I take a break for my Sham ki chai, and then after that I will look at emails, I will look at other stuff, and like that.
So for somebody so right now, your personal experience which you are telling, you've been a full-time writer in that case. But what about somebody who wants to write but has a hectic corporate life, or is traveling a lot and do not get that free me time every single day? So is there a tip that you can help out with these people? Because the intention might be that they want to write, but then even if it is a journal, that even if I have a thought and I want to literally pen it down on my journal, it will literally take me some half an hour to actually do that. And the problem today with people like me is that we don't have that time. We might not get that half an hour time to actually sit and do that, because there might be multiple other things running. Is there a tip that you can help people out with today?
I have a very clear policy in my mind. If you want to do something, and if that something is important for you, you will make the time for it. You will probably not watch that half an hour of Netflix. You will probably not spend half an hour on scrolling through. See, all of us do mindless scrolling.
We all
I look at I'm crazy dog lover. I have two golden retrievers at home. So my Insta and my Facebook feeds are full of golden retriever videos. So all of us have our hair, how to get shiny hair, and how to get, we have all of us indulge in all this mindless stuff. But if you want to do it, just do it. Because nobody else is going to work on your dream, on your aspirations, on your passions, and hand it over to you.
Very true.
If it is important for you, do it. Cut away something else. Get up 1 hour early. You don't have to write 2,000 words every day. Even if you write 500 to 1,000 words every day, and you don't have to finish writing a book in 3 months. Take a year.
Take 2 years.
But if you write every single day for 1 hour, you will write 500 words. And at the end of 1 year, after 12 months, you will have, do the math. I am not good with numbers, I can't calculate. Do the math. You will have a pretty decent book.
Very true.
So just take out 1 hour a day. And if it is important many of my friends are full-time workers, like Anirban Bhattacharya, who lives in Bombay. He's a stand-up comedian. He works in some office. He does acting. He says that, Kanchana, I write every night. From 11 o'clock in the night to 2 o'clock in the morning, he writes. And he says that, I've decided that I can't take away the other stuff. And I want to spend some time with my family, with my kids, etc. So I do all that, and they go off to sleep by 10:30, 11, whatever. I sit down to write at 11. So he has found the time, late
which
in
works
the
for
night.
him.
Then there is another friend of mine, Harini Srinivasan, who writes historical novels. She used to get up at 3:30 in the morning. That it works for her. She said there is no disturbance. My entire family is asleep. There is no courier wala, no Amazon fellow coming in doing maid servant chick. So
amazing. That is true. That's been great. Okay, that's true. That's the advice that I should also personally take it in. One of your books is already taken for a Netflix series. You've got amazing endorsements. There are, I think one of your books is turning into a movie. Let's read it somewhere.
So let's see. The movie bit I am not yet at liberty to talk about. Hopefully it will get done. And so let's see, I'm waiting on that. And Nobody's Child has got option into becoming a web series, but nothing has begun.
Okay.
No shooting or anything has begun. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed. But let's see.
Got it. So just out of curiosity, I'm asking this question because I've seen a lot of books that are published right now. This is majorly even the self-published authors also, who might have had a story in their mind which they would want to see in the movie. But then it's very difficult to just take a manuscript there or a screenplay written and go to somebody and get the story out there. So a lot of them have kind of published it as a book, and then the book is getting pitched to movies, right? So as an author, and given that for you now this is a first-hand experience as well, as an author, when your book is getting converted from a written book into a movie, how much of your actual story remains, or how much of your actual writing remains? What is your role when it turns into a movie? Like, is there any insights around this that you can share?
So, honestly, Naghma, I haven't come to that stage.
Okay.
So I'm still at a very early stage. So when that happens, I will be, in a position to comment on that. But from what I have heard my other friends talk about, their involvement has been minimal.
Okay.
So basically the producers, and so because, a book is written in a certain manner, and a screenplay is written in a very, very different manner.
Yeah.
So screenplay writing and novel writing are two very, very different crafts.
Yeah.
So, when they are writing the screenplay of a book, it has to be approached in a very different manner. So most of my friends who already have movies out, they have told me that they were not involved in the screenplay writing at all.
So you can always be proud that this is my story, but from the movie creation perspective, it's another set of skill sets altogether.
Absolutely.
Amazing, got it. So how have it been for you working with different publishers? Now coming back to your writing itself, that was a curious question I just had in mind when I was asking. But now when it comes to you, because there's a lot of budding authors who would want to get their books published, but then they don't really understand how that publishing process works. Is there a short way that you can just brief me on how that publishing concept, because once your first draft came, you're rereading, you're going through a lot of things, you finally have a draft which you think that you can take it to a publisher or pitch it to a publisher. What really happens after that?
So, see, the thing is, there is no shortcut to it. It's a very serpentine and a very long drawn-out process. And, waiting is the name of the game here. You have to be very patient and you have to wait it out. And things have gotten progressively worse after COVID because publishing houses are not in such a good shape. Books are not selling so much. They're not making as much. And this is across the board, not just with new authors, but also with established big names who, authors who sold 30,000-40,000 books are now barely selling 15,000-20,000. So numbers have come down across the board. So basically what happens is that after you have submitted your draft to the publisher and after they have accepted it, then they go through one round of deep dive editing. When your assigned editor goes through the entire manuscript and makes notes and tells you that ye theek nahi hai, isko change karo, this blah blah blah. So and then you make all the changes and then it goes back. Then after that, they do a very detailed copy editing or line editing, which is basically they kind of weed out all the typos or the
grammatical errors.
And then basically to also check that whatever you have written has been added in the right places.
Okay.
And then there is. So this is what has happened with HarperCollins and with Home Books. I don't know, but I would presume that the others do the same. And then the final is that they do a final proofreading to see if everything is fine. And after that, then it goes for printing.
What kind of a duration are we talking about here? From the time you gave your draft to this final good product that can go for printing?
So it depends from time to time, from publisher to publisher. So when I got accepted by HarperCollins in the month of May 2015. But at that time, the editor-in-chief, she said that Kanchana, there is a long queue, and your book cannot come out before August or September 2016.
Okay, the next year.
So I said fine. For HarperCollins, I was not. I didn't have a problem waiting. So for the book to come out in the month of August, the editing process, the first edits come should come to you at least 6 months before the publishing date.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm.
Because then the author needs time to go through,
Yeah.
and then it will go back to the editor,
Yeah.
and the editor is simultaneously working on multiple books.
Yes.
So actually, a little more than 6 months,
Mm.
7 to 8 months before the publishing date, the first round of edits should come to the author.
Okay, okay. You mean the first round of edits, which means the draft should be ready even way before that.
Of
which
course,
means the
yeah.
entire publishing journey is way longer.
So I'm saying this is when the contract has been signed, and so between the contract getting signed and the first round of edits coming to you, it can easily be a year and a half.
Okay. Interesting. And you work with 2 publishers so far.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting way of living at it. Okay, but then, do your patients go away during this time?
No, so a very good thing to do is that in this interim period, start writing your next.
Okay.
Start writing your next. Start slowly talking about. See, because your book has been signed, and the publisher is going to come out with it.
Yeah.
So, a lot of book marketing pundits, they say that this is a good time to start marketing your book.
Yeah.
Start
talking about it.
Start talking about it. Start talking about some of the characters. Be very sketchy and vague and intriguing. Don't give out, but slowly, once a week, put up a post about your book.
Interesting tips. I think
Or
that's
talk
something that
about
people can
the
actually...
genre of your book.
Yeah.
Like suppose if you're writing, for example, if you're writing a sci-fi,
Yeah.
start talking about sci-fis and why you're interested in sci-fi. So the sci-fis that you like.
Okay.
Yeah. Without giving out anything about your book.
Yes.
So that 6-7 months down the line, when you're halfway into the edits or whenever, or your book cover is made, and when you kind of come up with the book cover that it's a sci-fi, people are able to relate. Oh, acha, isliye you are talking about sci-fi.
You've already created that base audience also for that particular interest. Okay, that is actually very interesting. That's a good tip for all the
start writing your next one, and start slowly marketing your book, which is in production.
Okay. So one last final question to you, because normally I end with the question like, do you have a message for the readers, or do you have the message for the writers and all of that? But throughout I've been asking similar questions. So my question to you is a little out of the box. If not a writer, what would you have been, and where do you think your life would have been?
Okay. Don't laugh if I tell you this.
Okay.
If I hadn't been a writer, I would have made a doggy park.
Okay. I'm not laughing.
Yeah, please, you're not allowed to laugh.
I
promise you will not
I'm
laugh.
not laughing.
And I would take care of dogs, and I would kind of have a doggy park and a swimming pool for dogs. I would be a dog whisperer.
Oh, that's so nice. That's interesting. I'm sure you'll have immediately soon after this particular part of the podcast is out, you'll have a lot of followers on Instagram for sure. That's interesting. Thank you so much, ma'am, for being in here today. There are a lot more insights that I personally want to ask you about. I'm sure that the listeners want to ask you about. But I hope that somewhere again we catch up.
Absolutely.
Somewhere again we build something that can answer all the questions that people have and their minds about writing journey, the process and everything. But for today, thank you so much for having been here today. Thank you so much for all the insights, and very good luck for your upcoming book, even though you didn't give us spoilers. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And good luck to you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thanks.